Hey traders, and welcome back to another Sunday video taking a look at the week ahead in markets and some trading setups that I am looking at myself. The first one I want to talk about is just an update to a current trade that I already have open, which is USDJPY. And if I pull this one up, you can see I've got a floating profit of $540 on this trade. I'm trading on Oanda, which is my US regulated account. If you guys are wondering how I trade directly on TradingView, the link for Oanda will be down below in the description. And if you can't trade with Oanda or you're not in the US, if you're outside of the US, there's another one down there, 8cap, which is another broker you can soon trade directly on TradingView, which is awesome. So I'm looking at dollar yen here, which is a trade that I already have open and plan on continuing to hold into the new week. My thought process with this is kind of based off the daily chart for starters. The dollar has been in an incredibly downward trend for a very, very long time. Well, I guess since we broke that kind of upward trajectory we had in 2022 in October and in December and in November, we sort of saw this thing continue to plummet lower and lower. And now recently we've had a bit of a break the other direction. You can see this downward structure came to a halt right here on this big green candle. Ever since this big green candle, I've been looking for an opportunity to get long the dollar, and specifically that dollar yen looked pretty good on this retest here. Now I have to be completely transparent here. I took a loss on this dollar yen trade right here when markets initially went in my favor, but dropped back underneath this low, stopping me out. And after it rallied back, the next morning I decided to get back into my trade due to the fact that basically, this rejection was pretty strong at 61.8. And yes, I got stopped out. Yes, it was a little bit painful, but there's no shame in just saying, hey, okay, maybe my entry just wasn't very good around this time, but that's a lot of rejection and we should see some sort of reaction here. So that's one trade that I am personally in. We'll see if I'm right about that, but my goal here is to try and trail stops if this thing does decide to break and put in a higher low. And if you're familiar with my trading style, then when you see something like this, you're probably assuming that what I'm going to do with this stop loss is I'm going to go ahead and trail it on up behind higher lows, or in a downtrend behind lower highs, right? That's kind of the concept of what my goal is on dollar yen. I like to trail stops because basically it leaves my potential winnings unlimited on a trade like this. Now my stop loss is behind the lows in case the price goes against me. Next up, I'll take a look at the euro here for you. We'll see what's going on with the euro USD. So this is one, I'm going to be honest, this one's a little bit hard for me to look at because I really wanted to short this thing and we came very close to getting that entry. You can actually kind of see probably where I'm going with this. Nice upward trend, price rallying over and over, and then right there, similar to that dollar concept, probably right around the same date, you had a strong, decisive dollar bull day, which broke us underneath the lows of this trend line, and then in fact even helped us to break through the lows of market structure right around here. This looks bearish, and I think that the euro has more downside to come. That is my personal opinion. So when I look at this chart, what I'm looking for primarily would be pullbacks. And so when you see I had this chart all marked up for a possible sell at that 38.2% retracement, it's a little bit painful because price did not come up to that level. It barely missed it by, what is that, probably 20 pips? Yeah, about 17 pips. So missed the trade entry, but it's okay. I still have a bearish bias on the euro, and I'd be happy to look for another opportunity to sell should we see some sort of a breakout and retest on this level here, right around 1.06687. Now, if this does not, if this doesn't break, in fact, if we actually rally off of this, there's still maybe that second chance entry on that 1.080 mark on the euro against the dollar. I do have a short bias on this one, and if we take a look at the edge finder and I go to bias really quick, you'll see that both of the things I just talked about have strong bias. We have dollar yen here on the long side, which I'm already in this trade, and then euro dollar comes in at a strong sell. In fact, I have not actually seen this much dollar bullishness on the edge finder in quite a while. You have dollar CAD on the buy side, dollar ZAR, you have dollar CAD, dollar yen, euro dollar, Aussie dollar, pound dollar, and New Zealand dollar, all on the super opposite side of the spectrum, very heavy on the sell side, meaning favor the dollar over other assets here. So a very interesting week ahead. And again, we could probably spend a lot of time just looking at the dollar crosses. As I just mentioned, the euro dollar, when I look up the euro dollar specifically, we have a -8 in this overall category. Now, notably, you'll see that institutional data here is sort of conflicted. The euro and the dollar are both heavily long biased right now, as that is kind of an interesting little fact there, because again, we don't have strong sell on either one from institutional data. However, the retail crowd is certainly more on the long side right now, according to the data we've got. So knowing that, that's very, very interesting to note, that institutional money is sort of mixed on this cross, but very heavily bought from retail traders. Fundamentals, though, are where we really start getting in some good score here. You've got GDP growth outpacing the U.S. You have inflation lower in the U.S. That's good. Unemployment is better in the U.S. and interest rates better in the U.S. All of these things point towards a bullish USD. Okay, I'm sorry for that pause. I had to let my cat out of my room. She decided she wanted to leave. So yeah, I do like the euro dollar on the sell side. This is one that I'm very interested in myself. And when we go back to that chart, like I said, that 38.2%, that's where I'd be interested, or a break and retest of the 1.0668 mark that we have marked in green here. Next up, we'll take a look at the pound, which also has a strong sell bias. And man, again, another trade sort of leaving me behind here. That 61.8% retracement was where I was really interested watching this week. And so let's do this chart. I'll mark it up from a fresh POV, if you will, so you guys can see the full picture. So we had this big key level of support, right? This was a notable area of support for bulls as this thing was trying to trend higher, and we tagged up against a higher time frame level of resistance. In fact, I'll mark this in red right now. You can see we are really analyzing a bigger picture double top, right? Or multiple tops, if you want to call it that. Doesn't really matter, but the point is we had a huge level of resistance here. Price came all the way back up, and bulls were optimistic we could get the breakout. We did not see the breakout. We chopped around here, and eventually, not only did we not break out to the upside, we broke out to the downside, which was this big move here. Understanding that higher time frame context can be really important for understanding that this was very likely to drive lower, right? Knowing that we just rejected off a higher time frame resistance point, we broke key structure very decisively. It went lower, and it went lower quick. So the pound against the dollar is another one that has been short biased in the Edge Finder, and we'll show you guys this in just a second. I want to show you something cool in the Edge Finder. Trade ideas wise, the 61.8% retracement somewhere in this zone up in here, I liked a lot. Really, ideally, I wanted the retest of this zone. That would have been the ideal setup, but never really quite got it. So we missed it on the rebound, and unfortunately has not quite come back to our level. Though, congrats to the bears on this one, because this one has been a really, really big mover for a lot of traders out there. So if price gets up into that 61.8, this one might peak up on my interest. But I want to show you guys this. Not only has the Edge Finder been short biased recently, but I want to show you a bigger picture where we're at with that. I want to show you on the historical backtest page. If we go to the asset, let's go look for GBPUSD, and we change it to this. This is what I mean by the historical trend on GU from the Edge Finder has been pointing down. What you can see is the yellow line. That is your the market close, and then of course you have the market open here, which is the red line, right? So that's showing performance overall. So you can see we've been declining pretty massively on the pound, and that score has been in the reds for a while, right? You started seeing a -3 over here, and price has continued to plummet since then. So is the Edge Finder a perfect predictor? No. But a lot of times you'll see that it gets some really great moves called out ahead of time. So it was pointing towards sell side action over here, and the market just continued to plummet in the following weeks after that. So kind of cool to watch, just to see how that factor plays into it. The historical backtest section is something we recently worked on with the Edge Finder, which is pretty cool. By the way, if you guys want our free version of the Edge Finder, there is a link down below in the pinned comment section and the description where you can actually sign up for a free version of the Edge Finder now. We have a free limited version, or if you want to try out the full version, just send us your contacts there through that form, and one of our team members will reach out to you. So there you go. Yeah, I do like GU on the sell side. Next up is going to be gold. Now, I don't actually have a bias on gold. There's nothing here on the edge finder pointing sell or buy for me, so I don't really have much confirmation, though price action wise, this thing looks really bearish, right? You have this breakout to the downside, which now looks like resistance if price were to come back. This was a huge level for bulls, broke to the downside, and this candle was so crisp. That was an NFP day. So NFP day came out, markets dropped through the lows and just never even came back to retest them. Came close, but didn't even hit that 1900 mark before sellers took it over again. If you're looking at this thing from a seller's perspective, 1900 looks interesting on a retest if you're looking for that retest area. But also a break and retest at this 1865 could also be of interest on the lower time frames for the day traders and the shorter term swing traders out there. That might still be something to sort of trade if you're a momentum trader like myself. Where does this thing go? Well, gold, it's really, if I look at this thing from a longer term perspective, this is more of a daily chart markup really. We haven't even hit the 38.2% retracement. When talking about like how far should this move be erased, I think you probably would be fine to assume that there's a good chance we see 1789, that 50% retracement, because oftentimes when you see these big, long, extended moves like that, when they crack, they'll very often at least come back to the 38.2 or even the 50% retracement. Now, things get really serious if it completely crashes back down to 100% retracement, but that's farther down the line than right now. Currently, I would say that's a pretty good chance we see the gold market just continue to pull back a little bit deeper before buyers really try and hold it. But that would be my opinion. I don't have a strong bias on this one. Like I said, it's not something I'm actually looking to trade myself. AUDUSD is, however, one that I really like on the short side. You guys saw it on the edge finder there on our watch list page. AUDUSD getting a sell in almost every single category, and we can pull up the Australian dollar just so you see it. Strong sell gets a -9. COT data in this case does give us a strong bias. Look at this. US dollar very heavily long. Australian dollar very heavily short by institutional traders from the CFTC's Commitment of Traders report, the latest data that we have. That is really interesting stuff. So knowing big money is basically short this thing, I still have my target of thinking we could get back down to 67.27, which leaves a lot of room to look for opportunity. I missed this 50% retracement. I didn't miss it. I saw it and I thought about taking the trade, but I already had that UJ trade that I showed you at the beginning of this video. So I'm not necessarily interested in doubling up on a dollar trade right now. So I'm letting this one go. If the dollar yen trade closes out for a trailing stop or for a loss, I may consider the Australian dollar. Though I think, like I said, that level, that 70 mark, really, really looks pretty, looks good, and I think that we could see that thing continue to go down lower. But if we get retests on the lower time frames, there may still be opportunities to join the move should we start making that move down to 67, 25, 27, that sort of area. So that would be my opinion there on the Aussie. NZDUSD is the next one, and this one, again, another really clean chart. A lot of breakouts to the downside on these dollar crosses, and this is where I think things get interesting. If you do get a poke up into the 61.8, you can see price tried, failed at that 38.2, just showing how resilient right now the dollar bulls are coming back full force. So 61.8% retracement would be of interest. If it does get up into that area, I'll look for an opportunity to get short, and we'll go from there. One thing I'll add here that is kind of especially confusing, I'm also kind of interested in some of the indices, which is really, really confusing because being long biased on the dollar and long biased on the indices is tricky. Though I think it's kind of one of those things, there are rare instances where the dollar and the indices both go up. Part of the reason I'm getting these signals is because when I go to the edge finder, you can kind of see that some of the indices are poking up into the long side. NAS 100 up here at a +3, scoring high in seasonality, expecting some positive months in February. Trend reading to the upside recently. Inflation data still looks decent. Unemployment numbers look really solid. So, you get enough here to point towards a potential bullish trend happening on on NAS 100. So I like the NASDAQ 100 on the long side. I mentioned this level over and over on stream, 12,200. If price comes down into that area, I will be looking to take a little bit of a dabble into the long side on the NASDAQ, looking for this thing to continue to trend up. And yes, like I said, the dollar can move up while the S&P and the NASDAQ also move up. It is entirely possible that that occurs. So again, the signal for me is there, 12,200. I do like that. If I take that trade, you guys will see it inside of the Discord channel. By the way, if you're not already inside of the Discord channel, join us. We have a lot of fun stuff going on inside of the group. And currently, if you use the link down below in the description and that promo code, you can actually get into the group for a discounted rate using code YTVIP. And if you don't already have the free version of the Discord, there's also a free Discord link down below there as well that you can join and just check out some of the free perks that we have and decide if you want to go premium later. So yeah, just something to remember. That's of course where I share all of my trades. So again, here's my dollar yen trade that I took. Before that, I took an SPX 500 trade. This actually stopped out for me, unfortunately, so did not make any money on that one. Let's see, UJ, this is the one that stopped out as well. Before that, I had some great trades. My gold position, my NZDCHF trade, my NZDCAD trade, I believe, was back here somewhere. But yeah, I share all of my trades here, win and loss, and more importantly, full breakdowns with each one. So for example, on January 25th, I took this NZDCHF trade, risk 25 pips, broke down the whole trade. And, it's not just myself in here. We also have Frank and Ivan. So you can see trades being taken by my entire team. We have similar styles, but varying styles, and we trade different time frames. Like, for example, Ivan, he trades at 4 a.m. my time, which is London session. He's very active during the London session, staying active there, doing coaching webinars, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, check out the group if you haven't already. It's a great spot for new traders and intermediate traders who just want more people to work with and speak with. So yeah, I like this NASDAQ chart. Like I said, I'm watching it. USDCAD is probably another one we should check out, USDCAD on the bullish side. So I mentioned this kind of disappointed in the sense that we had this level of resistance that I was watching, and I really wanted this break and retest, but we never quite got it. So this one is kind of out of the running for me just because we didn't get the break above. I was looking for that to happen, but the Canadian dollar got strong on Friday and kind of killed that concept for us on the break and retest on dollar CAD. Let's see, what else do we have? Euro dollar, Aussie dollar, NZDUSD. We went over all of the pound dollar. Went over a lot of the dollar crosses, so we are good. We are probably covered there. EURCAD, however, on the strong sell side. EURCAD, look at this. This is a crisp chart right now. You have a break to the downside, really, really strong move underneath this low. And I love when charts set up like this. When you have these sort of like crisp breakouts through a low, it is very often a nice retest trade setup for me. So something like this, probably the 61.8% retracement, pretty close. So the 61.8% retracement looks pretty attractive on the EURCAD. On the short side, if price swings back up, I'm very interested in just looking for a momentum play, especially considering we have edge finder confirmation under, again, I said EURCAD. So EURCAD, we pull up the chart and bam, what do we got here? COT data goes against us. That's not great, right? COT data pointing towards bullish euro, bearish CAD. So we would be doing the buy the CAD, short the euro. So I don't love that one, but we still get a lot of edge finder confirmation in other areas. Trend reading to the upside, to the downside, right? As you can see in the chart, the crowd is very long on EURCAD. And then economic numbers favor the CAD in all categories. Higher GDP growth, lower inflation, unemployment looks better, and interest rates higher in in Canada. Very, very interesting to see there. So we get an overall bearish bias on EURCAD. Like I said, I would be interested in that trade if it swings back into that 61.8 or 50% retracement zone. And you could probably, this is more of a 1 hour chart setup really. So if this thing swings back up there, looking for a retest into this consolidation, at which point I'd probably look to sell with a stop loss above structure, trying to just catch a swing back down to the lows and perhaps even beyond. Now, the cool thing here is that, we're sitting at a level of support, so we might get some sort of reaction here, right? In fact, we landed right at support, which is very interesting. So if price does retest all the way up here and we take a dip down lower, you may even catch the higher time frame breakout, which would be, that's really where you get some sweet spot runners, is when you get a key level like this to break. There can often be some really great run. But I think with this current price action, we've seen a really extended move The EUROCAD, probably not something I'm looking to buy in this area, but probably due for a bit of a bounce at least. And like I said, the reason I wouldn't buy it is because I use the edge finder as confirmation, and we're still in strong sell category, so there's no need for me to jump into a bunch of buy trades in a very predominant downtrend. So that is where I am at with this. If you guys don't have the edge finder, try it out. Remember, like I said, down below in the description, we have a free version available, or you can get access to it for a discount using that promo code in the description below if you decide you would like to go ahead and get it, or just try it out. All that information will be below. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great trading week, and we will see you back next time.